What if someone tried to humiliate you in front of others? How would you react? There's a quiet, powerful way to earn respect without ever raising your voice. Stay with me, because today we'll uncover the secret to handling public disrespect like a Stoic. Welcome to Stoic Bridge, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life, guiding you through life's storms with calm and resilience. Have you ever been in a moment where someone throws a sarcastic remark or makes a demeaning joke at your expense right in front of others? You force a smile, but inside it stings. That feeling of being belittled in public doesn't just hurt, it lingers. And in that split second, a powerful question rises. How can I respond with dignity? How can I earn genuine respect, even from those who rarely give it? In this video, we dive into the 5 most powerful strategies to earn respect, without ever needing to raise your voice, chase approval, or lose your cool. These Stoic-based methods go beyond clever comebacks. They help you carry yourself with calm, strength, and authority in any room. You'll learn how to make a lasting impression before saying a single word, respond to interruptions with grace and control, disarm public humiliation without conflict, deflect provocation using psychological poise, and most importantly, know when to walk away with quiet self-respect. Each lesson is grounded in timeless Stoic philosophy and modern psychology, helping you reclaim your power and protect your peace, even in the most uncomfortable moments. If you've ever wished for more strength and clarity in social situations, this video is for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support this growing Stoic community. Your presence here helps build a space of calm, clarity, and meaningful growth. First tip, first impressions matter a lot. Sometimes the smallest gesture speaks the loudest. Before a single word is spoken, your posture, your presence, and how you greet someone can silently declare who you are. Like the opening scene of a film, those first few seconds set the tone, not just for the conversation, but for how people will remember you. Picture this. You're at an important networking event, surrounded by potential collaborators, mentors, or clients. The atmosphere is buzzing. Someone makes their way toward you with purpose, extends a hand, and expects an engaged response. But instead of rising to greet them, you stay seated. You glance briefly at their hand and offer a quick shake. It might seem insignificant, but in that instant, you've already communicated something crucial, perhaps a lack of confidence, a disinterest, or even disrespect. What's striking is that it's not your words that shape that impression. It's your behavior. And this is where Stoic wisdom comes in. The Stoics believe that your conduct, especially in small, everyday moments, reveals your inner world. How you act reflects how you think. A simple gesture, like standing up to greet someone and holding eye contact, becomes more than good manners. It becomes a symbol of clarity, calmness, and self-respect. Let me share a real-life example. At a professional seminar I attended, where building connections was the central goal, one individual stood out from the rest. It wasn't because of what he said, it was how he moved, how he engaged. Whether he was welcoming a senior executive or thanking the waiter who refilled his coffee, he did one thing consistently. He stood up, every time. He met each person with direct eye contact, open posture, and full presence. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't rehearsed, but he was deeply respected. People naturally gravitated toward him, not because of titles, but because of the way he carried himself. Contrast that with another attendee, equally intelligent, equally experienced, but he never stood up to greet anyone. He remained seated, even during introductions, and while he didn't intend to seem disengaged, it left an impression nonetheless. People unconsciously perceived him as less confident, less invested, even though that wasn't the reality. This contrast revealed something powerful. It's not just about how competent you are. It's also about how you present your presence. Standing up when greeting someone might sound trivial, but it's not. It's a signal, one that says, I value you and I value myself. You acknowledge the other person's humanity while affirming your own dignity. That's not just politeness. It's a reflection of self-awareness. And Stoicism teaches us to direct our energy to what we can control. You can't dictate how others feel about you, but you can choose how you show up. You can choose to meet each interaction with respect, poise, and strength. Even in small details, how you sit, how you stand, how you extend a hand, you are sending a message. So if you want to begin living with intention, start with your greetings. Whether you're walking into an office, joining a video call, or meeting someone by chance at a cafe, treat that moment as an opportunity. Stand tall. Make eye contact. Be present, because these micro choices echo far beyond the moment. They shape how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Remember, first impressions aren't just surface-level impressions. They're reflections of your mindset, of how seriously you take yourself and the people in front of you. The Stoics knew that greatness is often found not in grand gestures, but in quiet, consistent discipline. Now let's turn to another challenge that tests your composure. How to respond gracefully when someone interrupts you mid-sentence, especially in front of others. Second tip, handling interruptions with grace. Imagine you're speaking in front of a group. Your thoughts are flowing, your words are clear, and then suddenly someone cuts you off mid-sentence. It's as if your voice has been muted without warning. In that brief, jarring moment, you might feel embarrassed, annoyed, or completely thrown off. We've all been there, and it's tempting to respond with frustration or to snap back. But that reaction often leaves us looking more rattled than respected. This is where Stoicism becomes your anchor. When someone interrupts you, especially in a public setting, it's not just your message that's at stake. It's your composure, your dignity, and how others perceive your control over the moment. The Stoics teach us a vital truth. Real power is not about controlling others, but about mastering ourselves. And that begins with how we choose to respond, not react. So what should you do? Start with stillness. Don't raise your voice. Don't rush to reclaim your words. Instead, turn to the one tool that speaks louder than speech, a calm, steady gaze. Fix your eyes on the person who interrupted you, not with anger, but with silent firmness. Let the silence expand for just a beat. In that quiet pause, you reclaim the moment. You send a subtle but powerful signal. I won't be steamrolled. I am not to be dismissed. I remember a moment at a family gathering. I was mid-story, laughing, connecting, when a relative jumped in with their own tale, completely hijacking the conversation. I felt that familiar spark of irritation, but instead of interrupting back, I simply turned, looked at them gently but directly, and waited. No frown, no folded arms, just presence. Within seconds, they faltered, realizing they'd overstepped. And just like that, they paused and gestured for me to continue. No conflict, no awkward tension, just regained space, earned through composure. This approach works especially well in group environments. When you remain still and grounded, others take notice. You don't need volume or confrontation to command the room. Respect flows naturally toward those who demonstrate quiet control. And the best part? You walk away feeling centered, not shaken. But don't stop there. Once the interruption has passed, gently reassert yourself with a simple phrase, "Let me pick up where I left off." This line is golden. It's clear, confident, and entirely respectful. It keeps the conversation moving while reminding everyone that your voice matters. And importantly, it avoids humiliating the other person, which protects the atmosphere of the exchange. Stoicism reminds us that dignity doesn't require dominance. In fact, the most respected people are often those who remain calm under pressure. They let their steadiness do the talking. And when you embody that kind of strength, especially in the face of small social friction, you're not just defending your voice, you're showing everyone around you that your presence holds weight. So next time someone interrupts you, don't rush to compete. Hold your ground, meet their eyes, let silence draw the line, then continue calmly and confidently, because this isn't just about defending a moment of speech, it's about affirming your worth in every room you enter. Now, let's look at another situation many people dread. When someone tries to humiliate you in front of others, using a joke at your expense. Third tip, handling humiliation in a group. There's something uniquely uncomfortable about being the punchline of a joke, especially when it's delivered in front of a crowd. It's like standing under a spotlight you never asked for, with laughter echoing around you while your dignity quietly slips out the back door. In moments like these, your instinct may scream for revenge, but wisdom whispers something else. Stay composed. When a friend, or anyone in a group, deliberately mocks you with a joke meant to entertain at your expense, it's easy to feel exposed, embarrassed, even betrayed. But as Stoic philosophy reminds us, your reaction has the power to change everything. You can either fuel the moment or calmly disarm it. Let me take you into a moment from my own life. During a casual meetup with old friends, one of them decided to retell a rather embarrassing story from our school days. It was lighthearted for them, but for me, it hit differently. I felt my cheeks flush, my pulse rise, and for a split second, I was ready to clap backcourt with a sharper story of my own. But then something deeper kicked in. I remembered a core Stoic teaching. If it doesn't harm your character, it shouldn't disturb your peace. So instead of reacting defensively, I did something unexpected. I smiled gently and asked the friend to repeat the story. Not with sarcasm, not with coldness, just calm curiosity. "Oh? Could you say that again?" I said, with a neutral tone and a composed expression, and that changed everything. As the storyteller tried to retell the joke, the energy in the room began to shift. What once seemed funny suddenly felt forced. The laughter that had erupted earlier faded quickly into silence. People started exchanging awkward glances. And the one who made the joke? He began to stumble through his words, clearly aware that the moment had turned against him. That's the beauty of this technique. By asking someone to repeat their attempt at humiliation, you not only strip the joke of its sting, but also reveal the immaturity behind it. You don't need to attack or retaliate. Instead, you take control of the emotional temperature in the room, gracefully. This approach doesn't just neutralize the insult, it magnifies your inner strength. It shows that you're not easily rattled, and that small provocations won't dictate your emotions. That's the heart of Stoic discipline, to remain centered even when others try to shake your foundation. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start with the pause. Don't feel compelled to react immediately. Breathe. Create space between the stimulus and your response. Then use silence wisely. It's not a retreat, but a mirror that often reflects more than words ever could. When you do respond, do it with calm clarity. A neutral, simple request, "Can you repeat that?" delivers a powerful message without raising your voice. It signals confidence, self-control, and an unwillingness to stoop to petty levels. Over time, people will notice that you're not someone to mock lightly, not because you fight back, but because you don't need to. Stoicism teaches us that true dignity isn't reactive, it's rooted. And in these awkward emotional moments, your ability to remain grounded becomes your greatest source of power. Next time someone tries to put you down in front of others, remember this: you get to write the ending of that story, not with anger, but with clarity and calm. Now let's move on to another difficult situation. How to deal with someone who deliberately tries to provoke you or push your buttons in a group setting. Fourth tip, handling provocation with grace. Sometimes the sharpest weapons are not words or actions, but silence, deflection, and poise. Think about it. You're surrounded by people. The atmosphere is light, and suddenly someone aims a verbal dart right at you, a sly comment meant to wound or provoke. It stings, and everyone turns to you, waiting. In that fragile space, you face a choice: react emotionally or respond with grace. Have you ever been in such a situation where someone tried to throw you off balance in front of others? Maybe it was at a family gathering, a workplace meeting, or even among close friends. Let's say someone brings up a painful failure from your past. A subtle jab, framed as a joke. It cuts deep. The silence in the room becomes heavy. All eyes turn to you, anticipating your next move. Now imagine this. Instead of taking the bait, defending yourself, raising your voice, or offering a nervous laugh, you pause. You take a breath, and then calmly and casually you say, "By the way, does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I've been craving something sweet for the weekend." In that instant, the mood shifts. The person who launched the insult is caught off guard, unsure how to respond. The attention that once hovered over your personal pain quietly dissolves into something mundane, even lighthearted. The room resets. You've just taken back control, without aggression, without conflict. This isn't just clever conversation, it's stoicism in action. What you've done is use a psychological pivot, asking a completely unrelated neutral question to interrupt the momentum of provocation. It breaks the emotional pattern and steers the focus away from negativity. More importantly, it shows that you refuse to let anyone dictate your emotional state or drag you into drama. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And in these moments, your calm redirection becomes a quiet form of power. You didn't fight back. You didn't defend. You simply remained in control. And that says more about your strength than any comeback ever could. The beauty of this approach lies in its subtlety. It's not about ignoring the insult. It's about choosing not to engage on the instigator's terms. You shift the energy of the room, using composure as your shield. But for this to work, your tone must feel natural. Not sarcastic, not forced. The question should be ordinary, even light. Something simple about food, a recent movie, or an upcoming event. It should seem like a genuine curiosity, not a rehearsed tactic. This kind of response doesn't just diffuse the moment, it builds long-term emotional resilience. It reminds everyone watching, including yourself, that your peace of mind is non-negotiable. And the more you practice it, the more others will come to respect your centeredness. You become the person who doesn't get rattled easily, the person who holds their own gracefully. Over time, this shapes your reputation. Not just as someone who avoids conflict, but as someone who rises above it. You teach others, without ever lecturing, that dignity doesn't require defense, that strength is found in stillness. So next time someone tries to get under your skin, remember, you don't need to argue or explain, just ask a light question. Change the subject, and watch how the dynamic shifts. Now let's move on to the fifth and final tip. An even deeper expression of self-respect, knowing when to walk away. Fifth tip, walking away with dignity. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to quietly walk away. Not in anger, not in defeat, but in full recognition of your worth. Imagine standing in a room where your presence feels invisible, your voice constantly talked over, and your value repeatedly overlooked. You try to contribute, to give your best, but it's as if you're speaking into the wind. It's in moments like these that the soul whispers something profound. You don't belong where you're not respected. We often think of walking away as a last resort, as something people do when they give up. But in truth, it's a powerful decision of self-respect. Stoic philosophy reminds us that respect cannot be demanded. It must be cultivated, not only from others, but from ourselves. And one of the most powerful ways to protect your self-respect is to walk away from spaces, relationships, or environments that no longer honor your presence. Let me share a real story with you. My friend Sarah is a brilliant creative professional, smart, driven, and full of fresh ideas. She was invited to join a high-profile project in her company, a big opportunity. But instead of being welcomed and encouraged, she was repeatedly dismissed by her manager. In meetings, her ideas were brushed off without explanation. Her efforts were ignored. Her confidence began to erode, slowly, day by day. At first, she did what many of us would do. She worked harder, she stayed late, tried to prove herself, and gave the benefit of the doubt. But over time, the emotional toll grew heavier. Then came the breaking point. During a critical team meeting, she shared a well-prepared proposal. Without even listening, her manager interrupted and discarded it publicly. That was the moment something shifted inside her. With calm resolve, Sarah closed her laptop. She stood up and with quiet clarity said, "I choose to put my energy where it's respected." Then she walked out of the meeting. Not with drama, not with rage, but with self-respect. That same afternoon she resigned, not as an escape, but as a declaration. I know my worth. A few months later, she stepped into a leadership role at another organization, where her ideas were not only heard, but celebrated. Sarah's story isn't about quitting. It's about redirecting, about refusing to spend energy convincing others to value what you already know you bring to the table. Walking away doesn't mean weakness, it means boundaries. It means you've come to understand that being tolerated is not the same as being appreciated, that staying in an environment that chips away at your worth is far more damaging than the uncertainty of stepping into the unknown. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That includes the power to leave behind what diminishes you and move toward what aligns with your values. But how do you know when it's time to walk away? Pay attention to the patterns. If your efforts are met with silence, if your contributions are constantly dismissed, if you feel the need to prove your worth every single day, despite your best efforts, it's time to pause and reflect. Because staying in the wrong place too long doesn't just cost time, it costs self-respect. Leaving doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes the most powerful exit is the quietest one. No dramatic gestures, just a firm step away from what no longer serves your growth. So next time you find yourself in a situation where your value is repeatedly undermined, remember, you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Just walk away and let your absence speak the truth your presence no longer can. And with that, we close this journey through the art of earning respect, not through force or fear, but through clarity, calm, and the quiet strength of knowing who you are. So today we explored 5 powerful ways to earn respect without raising your voice, chasing approval, or losing your cool. From mastering first impressions with subtle presence to holding your ground through silence when interrupted, from disarming public humiliation with calm composure to gracefully deflecting provocation without conflict, and finally, learning when to walk away, not as an act of defeat, but as a declaration of your self-worth. Each of these strategies, grounded in Stoic wisdom, reminds us that true power doesn't come from forcing others to respect us, but from how we respect ourselves through our choices, our actions, and our restraint. Dignity, after all, isn't something loud, it's something quiet, steady, and deeply felt. Now, I'd truly love to hear your voice in this conversation. What moment in your life made you realize your worth? Have you ever responded to disrespect with calm instead of conflict? Leave a comment below and share your story, whether it's a small success or a major turning point. If you're not sure what to say, just type "I can do it" to show you've completed this session and that you're walking your path with intention. Your thoughts, your presence, and your support help this community grow into a space of wisdom, reflection, and real transformation. So if today's video brought you even a little clarity, calm, or strength, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tap the notification bell so you won't miss what's next. Watch the next video to be guided further on this journey of self-development and inner mastery. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stand tall, talk less, and walk with quiet power.